Hello. 2023 is coming, and we're going to start a new journey around the Ogham Grove on the days of Birch onwards. So we're currently in the closure of 2022 in the days of you, and the days of Birch begin on the 30th of December. And so that will be a brand new cycle, a brand new year wheel. So 2023, we're going to do a medicine wheel. Now, just a quick note, this has nothing to do with Native American medicine wheel. You know, the reason I called it medicine wheel is because the Ogham Grove is a circle wheel of trees, and in 2023 we're going to look at the medicine that each tree offers or provides, you know. So it is literally a wheel of medicine, quite different to the Native American medicine wheels, which are landscape circles, a bit like stone circles, but they're smaller. They're made of rocks and pebbles rather than standing monoliths. And they're sacred sanctuaries, much more than that. But the term medicine with Native American is wide. It's hard, you know, it encompasses many spiritual ideals, whereas the medicine wheel I'm talking about is literally herbs, things you can put in your first aid kit, you know, proper medicine, you know, medicine from the trees, from the plants and flowers and stuff. And it's a year wheel, so it's a medicine wheel. So just wanted to say that at the beginning, we're not appropriating any Native American teachings or anything, you know, it's just a wheel of medicine, a medicine wheel. And that is backed up with some of the Welsh lore, which I'll come to further on. Anyway, that aside, so the first year we did, 2022, mostly we did a wheel of introducing lore for each tree, and I guess I focused mainly on star lore as well as other bits of folklore and so on. So this year, just have a change from all of the star lore, which is still very important, and actually it relates to medicine and plants and herbs as well. But I thought 2023 we'll look at medicine, proper herbalism and flower essences and so on. So the medicine, I'm probably going to break it into at least three kind of types of medicine. The first type I would call first aid medicine. That's like aspirin from willow bark is first aid medicine that can be harvested and kept in your first aid kit. And also vitamins and antioxidants, you know, so the berries from elder and blackthorn. So there's kind of first aid kit medicines, if you like. The second category would be well-being. So that's not trying to fix a physically damaged body, but it's more to do with the mind and the emotions, you know, so that kind of medicine, which would be flower essences and teas, you know, herbal teas, drinking and getting herbalism in your body that way. So much of our well-being is actually triggered or a reaction to or you know, mental and emotional imbalance or upset, you know. So that's big stuff, really, you know. So anything that helps with one's psychological and emotional well-being is going to have a positive effect on one's body. So that's serious medicine. And the third type of medicine is more to do with visionary medicine, I suppose. You know, certain herbs help people with the visionary stuff, the shamanic, you know, journeys into the other world or the inner world. And that is there as well in Celtic stuff. Archaeologically, we have that. So in not far from Caerleon, on the west bank of the River Severn, there was a Romano-British temple at Lydney, and the temple at Lydney was sacred to a god that the Romans called Nodens, and he's probably Neith, which is the father god of Gwyn ap Neith, you know. But the temple at Lydney, archaeologists theorize that it was specifically for dream incubation. You know, people went there to have healing dreams or visionary dreams. And the rest is guesswork. You know, how did they have those dreams? What were they drinking beforehand or eating beforehand? You know? But literally journeying into the other world. Famously, further west in Wales, there's a group of Welsh physicians going back to medieval times called the Physicians of Mudvi. And they were famous herbalists and medicine people, but they learned all of their herbal lore from the fairy world. And the story is of a kind of fairy or lady of the lake that gave all her teachings to her sons. She'd had a human lover, and her sons became the physicians of Mudvi. But that's, what would you call that? That's kind of like healings from the other world, or wisdom of healing, medicine from the other world. And it's in Irish law too. You know, the great goddess Brigid herself is a goddess of healing. So there must be things I've still got to learn, you know, the herbalism of traditional Irish stuff, you know, that Bridie Bridget would have used in her healings, you know. I'm going to come back to Wales with Ceridwen shortly. But back to the Temple of Lydney and the god Nodens. Nodens was also equated with Silvanus, the protective god of the forests. So this temple for healing dreams with a deity that was also the god of the forests, you know. So the forests aren't just a place where you go and hunt deer. The forest is a place of many different trees and plants and shrubs and flowers and so on. So I'm just going to read a little bit out of this. This is a really good, well battered copy of the Mabinogion, and it's illustrated by Alan Lee, who's famous for his Tolkien illustrations. He was a conceptual artist for the Peter Jackson films. But not only is it lovely illustrations in here, but it's the Charlotte Guest version of the Mabinogion. And the important thing for that is that the Mabinogion is that much of the book. And that much of the book is over 100 pages of Charlotte Guest's notes. So it's worth getting the Lady Charlotte Guest version of the Mabinogion for the all of her notes. All of her notes refer to many other bits of Welsh lore, you know. So there is a very good up-to-date version of the Mabinogion, which I have somewhere, but it doesn't have any notes, just a few appendixes, but nothing special. But the Lady Charlotte Guest version of the Mabinogion is valuable, not just because of the stories, but because of her extensive notes at the back. So anyway, I'm just going to read a little paragraph from the Haynes Taliesin, which is the source story for Ceridwen and her cauldron. Now, I won't read all of it, I cut some of it short, but it's about a year wheel. In the story, it says a year and a day, and the cauldron has to be stirred for a year and a day. So that's a whole year wheel, which is an Ogham grove, really. You know, it's a cycle of a year, or a medicine wheel. And the reason I say that is because she collects herbs every day for a year and a day, you know, a year wheel. So there's herbs corresponding for the whole cycle of the year. But what are those herbs? Maybe the Ogham grove can throw up some insights. Then she began to boil the cauldron, which from the beginning of its boiling might not cease to boil for a year and a day, until 3 blessed drops were obtained of the grace of inspiration. And she put Gwion back, the young lad, to stirring the cauldron, and a blind man named Morda to kindle the fire beneath it. And she charged them that they should not suffer it to cease boiling for the space of a year and a day. So a year wheel. And she herself, according to the books of the astronomers, that is, she herself according to star law, and in planetary hours, we could talk about that one day, why each day, you know, one day is governed by the sun, sun day, another day Saturn, Saturn day, the moon, moon day, Monday. The reason there's planetary days is because of the planetary hours, you know, and that's carried on through every day of the week. Although in England, the Saxon gods are there. So Wednesday is Odin's day, Woden's day, but it's really Mercury. And Thursday is Thor's day, but Thor is Jupiter, you know. So the gathering herbs in a year wheel, and also according to star law and planetary influences, planetary hours. And she herself, according to the books of the astronomers and in planetary hours, gathered every day all charm-bearing herbs. And one day, towards the end of the year, as Ceridwen was culling plants and making incantations, it chanced that 3 drops of the charmed liquor flew out of the cauldron and fell upon the finger of Gwion back. And we all know the rest of the story. So, taking inspiration from that, then, you know, with Ceridwen's herb gathering throughout a whole cycle of a year, we can explore the Ogham grove and all of the medicines that each tree offers throughout the cycle of the year. You know, it's an amazing, potent idea, I think, you know. So we're not just look at the medicine of each tree, but we're also incorporate the plants. Now, that's incredibly subjective, possibly, and we'll figure it out as we go along. But what I would suggest is that with each tree, certainly like with the birch tree, there are sometimes symbiotic fungi that grow with each tree, you know. So, for instance, the birch tree corresponds with the fly agaric mushroom. So we can look at the medicine from the birch tree and its symbiont fungi. And then there's also the tree's position in the wheel of the year. So each tree represents a season and a time of the year. So, for instance, the time of year for the rowan tree is Imbolc, concludes with Imbolc, and that corresponds with the appearance of snowdrops. You know, so there are seasonal flowers like bluebells in April, you know, is going to correspond with the ash tree and the hawthorn tree. So that there's various flowers, plants and herbs appear throughout the year at different times. You know, obviously the autumn is gathering elderberries and blackthorn, slowberries, and so on. So it's a seasonal wheel. It's a wheel of 20 trees, and we primarily look at the medicine of each tree, but also corresponding fungi and flowers of that time of year. And then we'll be kind of following Ceridwen with her gathering of herbs according to the books of the astronomers and in planetary hours. So if you're interested in joining, every session on Zoom is, each tree lasts about 18 days, 19 days. And it will begin, as I said, on the 30th of December, brand new cycle beginning with the birch tree, the fly agaric mushroom. I've got some here, which I gathered, and I have been microdosing. Interesting dreams. So having a bit of Lydney dreaming temple in my own bedroom. Hopefully Sylvanus is looking after me and Nematona. Okay. Bye.